Project 2025. Two words seemingly innocuous. Yet they represent a blueprint, a plan, some might say a plot, to reshape America as we know it. Conceived by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, Project 2025 aims to seize control of the federal government. Its goal? To implement a radical right-wing agenda on day one of a new Republican presidency. This is not business as usual. This is not typical policy debate. This is a hostile takeover, a leveraged buyout of American democracy. And the stakes couldn't be higher. We're not just talking about tax cuts or regulatory rollbacks. We're talking about the soul of our nation.
Let's be clear. Project 2025 is not designed to benefit all Americans. It's a project for the few, by the few. The wealthy, the powerful, the corporations, they stand to gain immensely. Tax cuts, deregulation, environmental rollbacks, all music to their ears, all lining their pockets. But for the rest of us, for working families, for the poor, for minorities, for anyone who relies on the social safety net, Project 2025 is a nightmare scenario. It means cuts to vital programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. It means fewer regulations on polluters, jeopardizing our air and water. It means a government that serves the interests of the few at the expense of the many.
The potential consequences of Project 2025 are chilling. With millions facing economic hardship and social unrest simmering, the stage is set for chaos. Imagine a country where the social fabric is torn apart, where trust in government is shattered, where violence becomes the norm. This is not hyperbole. This is the very real danger we face if Project 2025 becomes a reality. A nation divided against itself cannot stand. And the divisions sown by this radical agenda threaten to tear us apart.
Section 4. Shadows of the Past. Slavery and the Erosion of Justice. Perhaps the most horrifying aspect of Project 2025 is its potential to erode the very foundations of our justice system.
We've already seen attempts to suppress voting rights, to undermine the rule of law, to silence dissent. What happens when these efforts intensify?
What happens when the justice system is no longer blind, but instead serves as a tool of oppression? The echoes of our nation's darkest chapter, slavery, resonate in these questions.
The denial of basic rights, the exploitation of the vulnerable, the erosion of justice, these are not distant memories, they are clear and present dangers.
And Project 2025, with its disregard for equality and justice, threatens to drag us back to a time we swore never to repeat.
Section 5. The crushing weight impacts on everyday Americans. For the average American, Project 2025 is a recipe for disaster.
Imagine struggling to afford healthcare as costs skyrocket. Imagine seeing your child's school defunded, their future jeopardized. Imagine the despair of losing your job, your home, your hope.
This is the reality Project 2025 threatens to unleash. It's a future where the American dream becomes a distant memory, replaced by a struggle for survival.
It's a future where the middle class is hollowed out, and the gap between the rich and the poor grows into an unbridgeable chasm.
Section 6. A Republic in Peril, the Threat of Authoritarianism. The ultimate goal of Project 2025 is not simply to implement conservative policies. It's to consolidate power, to dismantle the institutions of democracy, and to establish a system of authoritarian rule.
This is not an exaggeration. It's the logical conclusion of a project that seeks to silence opposition, to control the flow of information, and to bend the will of the people to its own agenda.
It's a slow creeping coup, and we are sleepwalking into its grasp. The time to act is now.
We must expose Project 2025 for what it is, a threat to our democracy, our freedom, and our way of life. We must resist its every step, challenge its every assumption, and fight for the soul of our nation. The future of America hangs in the balance.